Let's get more now on the investigation into the cause of that runway crash in Tokyo. For his view on the crash, I'm joined now by former pilot Richard Champion de Crespigny, who in 2010 successfully landed a commercial flight after it suffered a mid-air explosion in one of the engines. Richard, great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us. Now, the question on everyone's minds is how these two planes could come to be on the runway at the very same time and why there were no fail-safes to prevent that from happening. What's your observation?
Well, there's never one reason for an accident. There's always lots of failures that combine in a linear pattern to cause this failure. And you never want to rely on one source to guarantee safety. So yes, it's probably pilot error that the pilot who was not cleared to line up on the runway, occupy the runway. But there are so many other mitigating factors. In other words, there is a part of the transponder functions on modern aircraft include ATSB, that's automatic surveillance broadcasting, or ADSB, and it's a broadcast two times every second. It publishes the aircraft position that can be put onto a display that the air traffic controller could see, and it also can feed into alarm systems so that automatic system can warn the air traffic control and the pilot to stop what he's doing. Now, Japan does not mandate ADSB, I think. Australia's had ADSB mandated since 2017. So that's one factor, I believe. Stop bars, which might be a big series of red lights in front of the runway, and some of the taxi lights weren't working. There are lots of different factors that come into play. At the end of the day, the aircraft was sitting on a runway stationary for about a minute on a black runway with lots of lights. The aircraft would have only been emitting 3 small lights, and anything that's stationary is not really visible. So it would have been an invisible aircraft to the landing A350.
So sight is not something that can really be relied upon to avert a situation like this?
Absolutely not. There must be many other defences. Japan thought that their local radar systems would give them sufficient tolerance to know where the aircraft were, but it appears that that didn't work. The controllers in the tower didn't see the aircraft on the runway. In other words, all these defences that should have supported or made up for the pilot's error in lining up, none of those seems to work. And so this aircraft was on a runway in a position that the landing aircraft, and the A350 has head-up displays, quite a bright display, which puts extra symbology on the windscreen in front of the pilots that, again, camouflages a lot of stuff behind. So we can't expect the crew of the landing aircraft to see that aircraft, and they probably didn't see it until half a second before they hit it.
What sort of distractions present themselves to a pilot in those critical moments on the runway?
There are a potentially massive number of distractions. Lots of radio communications where air traffic control is talking to many different aircraft. There are checklists to do. There might be trouble in the cabin of the aircraft. Maybe they've got a mechanical problem. Pilots are used to managing lots of problems, prioritising them, and of course keeping everything safe. Now, just as people can be distracted with their mobile phone when driving, and we know that's very dangerous, distractions can be deadly on aircraft. Whatever the reason for that distraction, or whatever the reason for the pilot not understanding that he had to stay clear, this will come out in the report, and we'll learn, adjust, and hopefully this won't happen again.
I want to play that picture again of the moment that the plane touched down, the A350 touched down, because it is quite remarkable to me that the plane travels in a straight line, remains relatively level before it comes to a stop. How much control would those airliner pilots have had over the aircraft? I
suspect the landing aircraft just thought it was a normal landing until half a second before the impact they suddenly saw this black shadow. So the aircraft may have been on the ground, or maybe at touchdown the belly took the impact of the aircraft. The A350 has proven itself with this incident to be a remarkable machine. Now, this incident is not dissimilar in a way to a terrible tragic flight in Tenerife back in 1977. It's a crash that caused the largest number of fatalities in aviation ever. And that was 2 aircraft, 2 jumbos colliding, and there are similar sort of problems with aircraft not knowing who had the right to be on the runway. In that impact, there was about 150 knots, 500 people died. Now, here's an impact at 120 knots, just a little bit slower, but in the time since then, the cabin's been made more fire resistant, because the problem is a lot of cabin furnishings have become toxic with fumes, and a lot of people die from inhalation of smoke and toxic fumes.
So it's not the crash itself, but everything that comes afterwards.
So the aircraft is now more robust. Everything in that cabin is designed, from the seats, the emergency exits, the lighting system, the panels, the lighting on the floors. All these systems came in after Tenerife and a crash in Manchester that have guaranteed that in this situation, which is similar to Tenerife, although smaller aircraft, all the people got out, all 379 people got out of that Airbus A350. It's a testament to Airbus, it's a testament to the regulators with the rules that are written in blood from fatalities and previous accidents. It's a testament to the passengers following instructions.
There's something to be said about the conduct of staff and passengers here, right?
I wouldn't guarantee a similar result if this accident occurred outside Japan, because everyone followed the cabin crew's directions. The passengers were well behaved, not taking bags or blocking the aisles. The cabin crew gave clear instructions. The passengers would have been panicking. They would have had the fear response and probably freezing, which has happened in many crashes. So the cabin crew have to go up to these passengers and yell in their faces, get out of this aircraft, crawl on the floor, get out. Cabin crew did a good job. I think the pilots did a good job to keep the aircraft under control. This is a case where something's gone wrong, but after that, everything else has gone really well. Notwithstanding, of course, that tragically 5 people had perished, but it could have been everyone perishing. So this is a case after Tenerife in 1977. Change has been made, and now 5 people have died in a similar accident. We're going to learn more lessons, and aviation will get safer.
There is a multinational investigation now underway. What will those investigators from France, Germany, the United States be looking for?
Airbus is sending 5 investigators. They will look at how the composite aircraft survived the fires. It appears that all the doors were, the fuselage stayed intact so the passengers could get off. It appears that the aircraft behaved as it would expect, if not better than expected. They'll look at the pilots, if they were rested. They'll look at a medical history of them, their training, their experience. They'll look at the airport with the rules and procedures in place. They'll look at the ADS-B requirements for these transponders, and Japan may decide now to follow the world's example and use ADS-B from now on.
And just a final note for those people who see images like this and they're already afraid of flying, what should they do with that concern, that fear, which is, you know...
If you're afraid of flying, then you would never get into a car. There's about 8,000 aircraft airborne at any time in the world, 34 million flights. This is one flight in 34 million that has gone bad.
Over again. We're not helping, mind you.
Everyone got out of that aircraft.
It's remarkable.
So aviation manages extreme threats, extreme risks, but because of the well-trained, experienced crews and the whole industry, and you've got many pilots in the cockpit, this is why you are safe. If you have a fear of flying, it is not justified by the facts, and you should really look at Japan Airlines and be proud of what they've achieved.
Richard, so good to have you on the program. Thank you.